Oh, good. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. All righty. So we're gonna touch on something that's a little bit more challenging. So I appreciate any pushback, any struggle. It's all great. Let's figure it out together. But in order to do it, we're going to touch on a couple of the things we've done so far. And here, one of the things that's been great so far for everybody who's on Zoom is the Zoom people have been asking and interacting as well. So please do that. All right. The people in person, it's easy, but for the Zoom people, please ask questions and stop and so on. Okay. So we're going to go back to one of the things we started with in order to build this. So we started with a question in the first Mishnah. The question is, what's more important, learning Torah or doing mitzvot? Right? Learning or doing. So the rabbis struggle with this question and it becomes an age-old question. And in a classic Jewish style, we say that they're both the most important, right? Learning Torah and doing the mitzvot. They're both the most important. What does that mean? It means as follows. We say that we assess first, we act first, and then we understand. Na'aseh v'nishma, which means, right? We do the mitzvah. Let's say it's something on Shabbat that we'd like to do, that we're aware of, and so on. We mekayem the mitzvah, we do it to the best of our ability. We learn more about it. The learning. Hi. Wow. Hi, Rochelle. Oh, incredible. Wow, an old dear friend. How are you? So happy to see you. Hi, so great to see you. Welcome. Oh, this is so great.
I saw your last class.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that's why I'm here. I love it.
Amazing.
Oh my God, the best of all. Mom, where do you want to sit? I can't believe
So
you
great.
read the article.
Oh, it's a super article, by the way.
Your mom? Yeah.
Piece.
We're just sitting. Okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's really great to have you back. Super. Okay, so we started. We're gonna give a quick background and then move. Okay, so Na'aseh v'nishma. What's more important, Rochelle, to do the mitzvah or to learn about the mitzvah? Right? Is the mood more important or action more important? What we said was they're both equally important. How could that be? The perspective is I do the mitzvah with the little knowledge I have, maybe. If I don't know a ton about it, it's okay. I do the mitzvah. I learn about the mitzvah. The mitzvah enables me, the learning enables me to do the mitzvah on a higher level. I learn more. I do the mitzvah on a higher level.
What about the intention?
Beautiful. Fantastic. Fantastic. That's where we're going. It took her a minute. It took her a minute. Huh?
Repeat the question for the Zoom.
Okay, we're going to repeat the question for the Zoom people. Thank you, honey. Rochelle asks, what about the intention? So let's take it. It's 2 steps. Let's get there. But you're hitting the exact point. So, na'aseh, do, and then understand, right? That is our model, right? We don't wait to figure everything out in terms of a halakha before we do it, right? We do it. We jump in. What do you mean? I did it 20% right, 80% right, doesn't make a difference. I'm in the game. We believe that being in the game is the way we build in Judaism. Good? So, na'aseh v'nishma, I do it, and then I learn about it. By learning about it, right, what's going to happen? I'm going to bump things up a little bit, and I'm going to be able to do it on a higher level next time, right? And then what I do, I learn some more, so I'm going to be able to do the mitzvah on a higher level next time. It's like anything valuable in life, right? I engage it on whatever level I can. I commit to it, because I know it's of value, even though I don't have it all figured out, right? Right? You give your love to another person, you commit to a career, how does that happen? Is it all clear and all figured out? Obviously not. I see there's something of value to enrich my life. I extend myself, I do it. In this case, I do the mitzvah, I backfill with more understanding of knowledge. Now I can do the mitzvah on the next level. That's the general framework. Good. So to Rochelle's question, it's the right on target. Well, what about kavanah? Well, what about the intent? So now we backfill with the intent concept, which means that the more intentful I am, the greater the value of what I'm doing. So I did it the first time. I knew a little bit about it. My intention, my focus, my understanding of what I was doing was limited. So I got X out of it, right? But now as I learn and grow, the intent is more built out. It's greater understood. So the more I will invest, wow, fantastic. The greater my intent, the greater the value. Okay, so I understand. By understanding, learning, I do it a little bit higher. By doing it a little bit higher, then I learn more. But like this, constantly. And I'm constantly investing in greater understanding and knowledge so that I can invest more intent. Because the more intent I invest, the more I'm going to grow. Because the purpose of a mitzvah is to grow, right? To become more sensitive, more caring, more aware, more closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, closer to ourselves, closer to the land of Israel, whatever the context might be. Okay, so do, learn, right? Sum total, I grow as a result of my knowledge-based action, but the knowledge isn't stagnant, keeps getting higher. And the more knowledge I have about the action, the more intent I'm going to put into the action, and the greater the result. Cool? Good. So now it creates another question based on Michelle's question, which is, well, what if I do it without intent? Right? What if I do the mitzvah
Like a robot.
just like a robot? So over here, halakha is very interesting. Back in the day, many years back, if somebody could not focus on a mitzvah, then they were exempt from doing it. What are you talking about? If I can't have the appropriate intent, wait, come back to it. And the classic case is that somebody comes back from a difficult trip, from a rigorous trip. They're exhausted. You know, traveling in those days is not like traveling now, right? You traveled on a horseback, on a camel, walking, whatever it might have been, right? Somebody comes back from a rigorous trip and can't have kavanah on their prayer for a couple of days. So you're exempt from praying for a couple of days. Again, why? Because the point of the mitzvah is to grow, is not to do it just to do it. Why do I keep Shabbat? To become more in touch with myself, with my family, closer to God, more grounded, more ambitious, more creative. When I shut down all the practical stuff that I'd be doing, it gives me an opportunity to reach in, to reach out, to express more love to the people whom I love, right? To connect more to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's my direction on Shabbat, for example. So the purpose of Shabbat is to become more, is to grow, right? Is to attach more deeply to the things I care about and I love, and to attach most deeply to me. Okay, so in the ideal world, if a person can't focus on something, they shouldn't do it because they're not going to get anything out of it. But over time, our rabbis realized that it gets harder and harder to focus, and therefore we do the mitzvah anyway, even if we have less intent. But the point of doing a mitzvah is not to get X done, not to be mafresh challah, not to light candles before Shabbat. Okay, do it. But the point is to become something as a result of doing it. So if I understand the intent of the mitzvah, if I understand the purpose, the intent of the mitzvah, then I know what I want to get out of it. So if I'm focused and I'm concentrating, I can get more out of it than less. Okay? Is that clear or no?
Yeah.
Cool? Like anything else, right? When I in it, I'm going to get the most out of it. Yeah.
Okay. No, one morning I woke up and every day I go to exercise and I wasn't in the greatest mood. There was with someone looking like they needed to cross the street. I told you this once before.
Yeah.
And I went over and said, oh, this is getting me in a good mood. I'll do a mitzvah. So, but I didn't want to do it.
Right.
And I said, oh, can I help you cross the street? And she said, no. And I said, no, I have.
I have to. I have to help you, even if you don't want me to help you. Guess what? She hit you with a handbag. You're not so happy about it. Okay. But you had the right idea, right? I want to do something nice so I feel different. I feel different.
That was a selfish act on my part.
No, it's not. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sarah's raising a very important point. Mitzvot are completely selfish. Of course they are. 1,000,000%. God forbid anybody should say otherwise. By the way, I had a thing with the guys in one of the classes.
Hi.
Who's that?
Oh, unbelievable.
I had a thing with the guys in one of the classes where they were really struggling with the fact that the reason I help somebody else is 100% for me. 100%. What are you talking about? Darling, poor person that you help, the lady you're trying to get across the street, right? Aren't you doing it to help her? You're doing it mostly for me. I'm doing it for me. And we have to,
I feel good.
That's right. And by the way, I feel good. I'm doing it for me. And if the other person benefits, great. Good. But I become a better person. That's, I feel good. I reach a different level maybe in terms of my analysis for what makes me happy, what the way I want to reach into other people's lives and so on, right? So I'm the primary beneficiary and they're the secondary beneficiary. Yeah, for
I
me.
think it's good in my marriage.
Right.
And we do it automatically. We keep Shabbat, we feel good, but it's automatic.
Okay.
We do every day.
Okay. So the more we can do it mindfully, better. The more we could do it mindfully and less automatically is actually better, right? We want to do it less automatically because we want to say, okay, I'm doing something for this person. Why am I doing it for them? For me. We have to get comfortable. And it's not, hi, Rochelle, how are you? We have a beautiful family reunion here. It's awesome. It's awesome. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get comfortable with the idea that me doing a mitzvah is for me, it's for me, and then the other guy, but I'm the primary beneficiary. You know why? Because in Judaism, I come first, period. We got to get comfortable with that too, because that's the meant. We have the rabbis come out very clearly. They say, Chayecha kodmim. My life comes first. By the way, when people say things, and this is a slight digression, when people say things, I do it for my children, I do it for him, I do it for, take that guy and tell him you don't know what you're talking about. Because if you're putting anybody before yourself, you're missing it. That's not what life is. And the only way I could be super great to my children is if I'm super great to myself first. And the mitzvot are about making me fulfilled, growing me to a higher spiritual level, making me happier. That's why we do mitzvot. And therefore, to Rochelle's point, the more kavanah that I have, the more I'm going to take out of it. Okay? The mitzvah is a projector. It's a way for me to move. It's a way for me to grow. So the more I know about the mitzvah, the more I'm going to take out of it, the more I'm going to grow. The more I learn, the more I do the better I do the mitzvah, the more I grow. That's the cycle. Hopefully. Yeah.
Okay, we pray every morning.
Mhm.
Now, some mornings I have kavanah, and some mornings I don't have.
Right.
kavanah.
Very good. So Shelley's asking the question. No. So today we hold that even if a person doesn't have kavanah, they have to do the mitzvah anyway. In other words, even if a person can't fully concentrate or is concentrating less than they'd like to, we do the mitzvah anyway. Why? Because today we have so much coming at us that we wouldn't be doing anything because it's so hard to concentrate in general. So today we say that We do the mitzvah even with less kavanah. We do it anyway. And by doing so, we fulfill the mitzvah on some level. But our intent is to do things intentfully, immersed in it. We want to be immersed in it. We want to take the time, go slow, say the extra. You know, when we say, just in terms of Shelik's question, what are we saying? It's a little sidebar, but what are we saying? Amonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagiti latecha. What are we saying? Huh? Open us up. So, open my lips and let my mouth sing your praises, right? What are we doing when we do that? What's the point? Is it part of the Amidah? It's really not. It's really not. It's a segue to the Amidah. It's not part of the Amidah. It's an intro. Why do I say it? Beauty. I want to grab focus. I want to get grounded. And therefore, typically in the Amidah, I need to move through it. I can't arbitrarily stop, right? But after Hashem Sefatai Tiftach, if you're not focused, stop and gather your thoughts and pause and wait. At that stage, you have the opportunity and obligation to do so because you have this extraordinary couple of minutes to stand in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and yourself, to reclaim a level of closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and yourself that virtually nothing else but the Amidah offers, but the silent prayer offers. So what do you want to do? You want to be in the moment as deeply as possible. So if I'm not there, I want to pause and I want to try to reclaim. Okay, good. Now, so we talked about the relationship between learning, actually doing and learning, right? I want to do, I want to learn, I want to do, I want to learn, I want to do, I want to learn. That's the game, right? Ready, fire, aim. That's the system in Judaism, right? Sharon, you're okay with this?
I'm troubled by something.
All right, I'm happy you're troubled. Otherwise, what's the point of being it? All right, ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, aim. That's how we do things. Good. We have another tool, and then we're going to get into today's Mishnah. We have another important tool. The other important tool is Teshuvah. We're all very familiar with it, but I just want to remind us of it and sort of just add a few points to it. You're going to show me how to do this thing after, all right? Add a few points to it. So Teshuvah is as follows. Teshuvah is that I think about the past, i.e., what I did a minute ago, or an hour ago, or a week ago, something. I reach to the future to establish who I want to be going forward. And by doing so, I change the present. I establish a different present. So let's go at it again. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a remarkable tool called Teshuvah.
It just came.
It gives us a remarkable tool, right? What is the tool? What's the tool? The tool is that even though something exists in reality right here, and even more importantly, in reality in the Shamayim, something that a person did exists, right? Everything a person does exists up there perpetually. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to give you this remarkable tool, this completely illogical tool. I'm going to let you think about the person you'd like to be in the future. Okay, I punched Shimon in the nose for whatever reason. I got angry and punched the guy in the nose. That's not the person I want to be. It's not the person I want to be. I think about in the future, I don't want to be a guy who can't control his emotion and might, God forbid, punch somebody in the nose. So what does Teshuvah do? It lets you project to the future, right, to the person you want to be. Based on that, change the past, even though his nose is still broken. The past for me not mine anymore. That ain't me. What do you mean? Did you punch the guy in the nose? No. What do you mean? You did. No, I didn't. You know why I didn't? Because I'm not there anymore. I'm a different person. So by reaching forward to the person I want to be, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us this remarkable opportunity to change what was. Even though it still exists, I can change it. And now in the present, I'm a new man.
So when you say Teshuvah, is it repentance?
Yeah.
Or is it forgiveness?
I want you to call it teshuvah. I don't want you to call it repentance or forgiveness. How's that? Okay? Because these English words, I want you to just, for now, I'm with you, Shelley. For now, I want you to stick with the Hebrew words, because sometimes the English words take us off in other directions that are not really what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. So the English is tough. The boys go crazy with that thing. So no, I'm not talking about that word. I'm not going to use the English word in certain cases because it just confuses the thing. Teshuvah means HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows us to reach forward. This is who I want to be. And I understand how I'm going to get there. I don't know for sure I'm going to make it, but I understand how I'm going to get there. These are the steps. Therefore, I go back to who I was that exists not only in the present day reality, but in the heavens, which is even more important, right? I turn that X into a check. I turn the X into a check, right? And now I stand here a different person.
Cleared it away.
I'm more than cleared it away. I turned it into a positive. How do I turn the negative into a positive? Because I used it as a tool to become more. So if I have the courage, yeah.
Fix that whole area, you can say, okay, I mean, all the hurt feelings, the other guy.
Excellent. Excellent question, Michelle. Do I have to fix the whole area? And the answer is, it may take a lifetime to fix the whole area. And in fact, I may never fix it. Lo alenu. But it may not everything can be fixed.
Intention alone.
The
intention alone.
So that's a great question. So Michelle's raising a great question. We'll spend a few minutes on this. The rabbis asked, what if, and it's just going to exacerbate your question, so it's good. What if a person makes teshuvah only in his mind? If a person in his mind says, you know what? I don't know. I got to fix this thing with this guy. I'm going to fix it someday. I don't know how, but right now I'm going to change. Well, forget the other guy for a minute. This issue of Shabbat, let's say, whatever it might be for any person, I'm gonna fix it. I want to fix it. I'm committed to fixing it, but you didn't fix it yet. Is it considered fixed or not? The answer is yes. 1 second, but you didn't actually do it before, Al. I didn't do it in action. I didn't do it in real time. Doesn't matter. If I made an intellectual commitment to do more, to be better, to change something in me, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu accepts it as a done deal. Now,
Very nice.
very good.
But the Haverot is much.
Excellent. So the Ben Adam Haverot, to Rochelle's point, that works beautifully between me and God. But what about between me and the other guy? So now it becomes more interesting. Let's say a person has an absolute intent. You don't know you're going to pull it off, right? Your intent is never to be in a position where you punch a guy again, right? You don't know you're going to pull it off, right? So now we have two things that we're talking about. The first one is, has the person turned the X into a check mark? The answer is yes. Does the person still have to approach the person who was hurt and attempt to reconcile with him? The answer is yes. But did the person make teshuvah as a result of making a commitment based on steps A, B, C, not to do this again? The answer is absolutely yes. Did the person clean up some of the mess and fix the Ben Adam Havero that, by the way, he's obligated mideoraita from a biblical point of view to fix, exclusive of teshuvah? He has to fix it. There can't be bad feelings between one person and another. But we have to make the diuk here. It's very important. And struggle with this. It's good. The teshuvah inherently, in terms of the person's mistake, that is no longer there. That mistake is no longer there. The pain that it exists with the other person is still there. They're two separate things. Oh, do we cobble them together? Yes. Ideally, is it best to clean them up together? Yes. What if the person moved away? What if you can't reach the person? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
What if the person cursed him and cursed his family and wished him bad, and then that
Right.
person
What if the
it's
person?
so big it could become
Excellent.
impossible.
Excellent. Excellent. And therefore, the teshuvah, for me, teshuvah means I understand why I stumbled. right? I understand where I'm going to go. I understand why I stumbled, and I'm moving to be better. I'm moving to be different. Do I have any guarantees between me and me or me and God that I'm going to be different? No, but I'm going to make my best effort. That's teshuvah. Gamarnu. I had an honest, objective confrontation with me. I understand why I stumbled, and I'm going to do better next time. I intend to do better next time.
What if you don't do better?
What if you don't? It doesn't matter.
What if you keep doing it?
No. If it's disingenuous,
I mean,
if it's dishonest, then God doesn't pay it any heed. But if I sincerely believe that if I do steps 1, 2, 3, I won't stumble like that again. And I do steps 1 and 2, let's say, and I do stumble like that. Hashem says, okay, this was a sincere intent. I'm okay with that. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. The intent has to be serious and sincere. And guess what? The Hakadosh Baruch Hu knows that more often than I'd like to, the person can stumble again. You know why? Because as we learned many years ago, the issues that we're fixing when we make teshuvah are the deepest rooted issues in us. When we make teshuvah, right, what do we typically focus on? We focus on the symptoms, the expression of X. But when we're making teshuvah, what are we doing? We're turning to those issues in us that are the deepest rooted issues in our characters that have to be uprooted and changed. That's often a lifetime. It's a lifetime of work. And we're going to get them a little better, but wait, that's very deep rooted in me. There's, anger is not the issue. Anger is a symptom, let's say. Insecurity is an issue. Lack of confidence is an issue. Wait, how long does it take to fix that? It could take years. It could take a lifetime. Therefore, I make an effort. I move the needle. HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts me in a different place, and I build from there. Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Quite important. Not to say, well, this is that way.
That's
That I think is the most important. Like so many people say, well, this is just who I am.
yeah. So Michelle's making an important point, where she's saying that you hear very often, and I hear it very often, and honestly, it breaks my heart more than anything else. It breaks my heart more than anything else when a person tells me, I am who I am. There's nothing, God forbid, I don't want to exaggerate, but there's almost nothing worse that a person could say. There's almost nothing worse. And it's very interesting that Ramchal brings in the Mishnah Sharim that person, lo aleinu, even though he's decent, right? He gets very harsh treatment from God, lo aleinu. Why? Because the same way that God is just and rewards for the good, he has to do the opposite for the opposite. And if a person is standing still and not growing, there's no such thing as that in Judaism. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as neutral. No such thing.
The whole
Yeah.
of your soul, like you have a soul, and your whole life you have to go and lift them up like
The whole life, right?
so.
And that's why teshuvah is not perfect. Teshuvah is something where I take a step forward and a half a step back, because I'm digging deep inside to work on the things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu understood that I need my whole life to work on. The point is, to Michelle's point, that don't ignore those things, right? To say I am who I am, or this is who I am, or these are completely antithetical to Judaism. Okay, so far?
The funny thing is, I am who I am is what God says about himself. I am who I am.
That's right. Well, God is perfect. We're not.
Exactly.
Right.
Ricky,
Yeah.
does this
Hold on
person
one
have to
second. Cynthia, 1 second. We're going to take your. Okay, Cynthia, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my question is, doesn't a person have to really recognize what they want to fix before they say, please, help me fix what I have done wrong, but they don't even know what they did wrong? I mean, don't they really have to know?
Something, sometimes we know a little, sometimes we know more. But we say that about teshuvah, to be in teshuvah is a perpetual thing. It's daily, right? It's constant. So if a person is constantly reassessing and constantly looking forward and constantly looking back a little bit, that's who we want to be. And by the way, the caveat is very clear that we do this objectively, because the only way we could keep doing it is if it's unemotional. and objective. And that's how we keep building. So the Baal Teshuvah is the highest level person in Judaism. That's what we all aspire to be. And it means I'm constantly tweaking. But to your point, it may take me decades to fix it with the other guy. And by the way, after I've made 3 reasonable approaches to the other guy, that why? But why? Why? You would say, until I fix it with the other guy, it ain't fixed. And on some level, it's not. But in terms of me and what I need to build in my life, I need to move forward. And if I had the courage to confront why I did it and figure out more or less how I can avoid it in the future, more or less, not guaranteed. And I made an effort, and the effort was pushed back at once, twice, 3 times with a few people around, so they see that this effort was absolutely sincere. I have to move on. I have to move on. Yeah.
Tell you that of the 3 Avot, just thinking in my mind how each one, like Abraham, is all about being good.
Right.
And there you see this 100 years or whatever it was. That's who he is. Like I was thinking, Grandpa, he's just a good guy, and I think he tried to be good to even his son, who was terrible.
Right.
He needed his wife to tell him, get her out of here.
That's
Get him out of here.
That's
In
right.
other words, there is an essence when you said, I am who I am. Some people have. Yitzchak was Geburah.
Right.
He had to work the other way.
Mhm.
In other words, there is something there that I am who I am. You can't help it. That's who you are.
Good. It's accepted. And what you are, what a person is overwhelmingly is great, right?
No, but it sounds that I think on a good level.
No, she is.
I'm
She
saying
is.
it on a good level, but I'm saying that even the greatest of great, our own Avot, had that problem.
Right.
One was
Our
too
own-
good, one was too strict.
Good. Our own Avot were not perfect. Fantastic. That's right. They were not perfect. They were not perfect. And in fact, you go one step further. When we learn about the Avot, particularly about Yaakov, who we're immersed in his life now, Yaakov is us. Yaakov is really us, even more so than Abraham and Yitzchak. Why are there more psukim written on Yaakov Avinu than Abraham and Yitzchak put together? More on Yaakov than 2 of them put together, and a lot. Why? Because Yaakov is us. Yaakov, who becomes Israel, is everything that will go through our lives. All the conflict, all the fear, all the everything that everybody's going to experience. Everybody's going to experience it. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts us here to grow and to work through the issues and to become more and to be challenged. We're going to be challenged. And if we're ever not challenged, the Gemara in Masechet Berachot says something very famous. We've said it before, some of us, that if somebody goes 40 days in this life and didn't stumble, then they should worry. Why should they worry? We said this before. Why should they worry? Why? Yeah, and Hashem separated. So if you went 40 days and you didn't have a hiccup, it means you're not challenging, you're not questioning, you're not attempting to grow. Okay, good. That was the introduction. I'm so long-winded with these introductions. All right. So this Mishnah talks about the concept of Yosher, of Yashar. So this is a very, very important concept, and it builds on what we said so far. What does the concept Yashar mean? Who is a Yashar person? Straight, right? You know anybody like that for? Huh? Yaakov, right? But was right? Okay. So Yaakov is Yashar. Absolutely. But we need to understand what Yashar means, because Yashar is applied to us. And we want to be Anshe Yosher. We want to be people who are straight, right? So what does Yashar mean? Think of the life of Yaakov Avinu even. Was Yaakov perfect? No. Was he Yashar? Absolutely. So what does that mean? Yashar means straight. So what do you mean? Can a person be straight and not be perfect? How could that be? If the person is perfect, right, and then they're going to be straight because they're never going to get pulled off track. But everybody gets pulled off track. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We would be human. There'd be no sachar v'oner. There'd be no fight. There'd be no growth, right? So what does yosher mean? What do you say? Come on.
Honest.
Yosher means this flow. We have a straight line like this. We have a straight line, right?
Keep getting back on.
That's right. The yashad is the person who started this way, gets pulled off, fights his way back, gets pulled in that direction, fights her way back. That's the yashad, right? The antithesis of the person who says, I am who I am. The yashad is the person who understands this is where I want to be.
Uh-huh.
And the minute, the week, the hour, whatever, based on the awareness of the person, right? Hopefully sooner, right? The person gets pulled off. As Zeke Abraham said, when I learned this with the guys, he's like a heat-seeking missile that goes back to Emet. He goes back. He gets pulled in this direction because life is supposed to be pulling him. Life is supposed to be challenging him so he can reflect and learn and get closer to God and get close to himself. It's going to be pushing. Otherwise, you're standing still, right? I need to raise the bar. HaKadosh Baruch Hu raises the bar. I raise the bar. He raises the bar, right? Who is the person who has the least bimcha in this world? The good one, the Sadiq, the Chacham, the great person. What do you mean? Give him a break. Give her a break. Never. 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 Yeah.
I still don't understand. A person does teshuvah. I'm sorry, I did what I did. I want to be improved. I want to be better. Don't they have to know what's going to make them better? I mean, don't they have to know if they did something wrong, what it was?
100%. Let's backfill a little bit. When a person makes teshuvah, right? The person
Yes.
What are the steps? Let's do them very quickly. The person will stop what they were doing. Cold turkey. Stop.
Okay.
Doesn't know how he's going to sustain that changed behavior, but
Right.
anyway, stop. Azivat hachet, stop. Boom. Right? Now we have Kabbalah La'atid. The person goes through the process intellectually, not emotionally, intellectually, of figuring out why he or she stumbles in this way and what's a reasonable way to reasonably avoid it.
Uh-huh.
Guaranteed thing? No way. No way. Good, Michelle?
So they
All right.
have to accept the fact that there is something to fix.
100%. Yeah, clearly. Stop cold turkey. Beautiful. Stop cold turkey. Come up with a time and action plan, baby steps to do better, knowing that you're not God, right? Some of the stuff is going to happen and some of it isn't. Then you stand before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and yourself, right? And we articulate this plan, right? We stand before God and we say, you know what? The way my kavanah and my tefillah is going to be better is because I'm going to prepare. I'm going to zoom out of other things. I'm going to do it a different part of the day. I'm going to do these 4 or 5 steps. And based on that, I'm going to have a different level of kavanah in my tefillah. And by the way, I write the steps down. This is my plan, right? I stand before God and myself. I articulate them. That's choser b'tshuvah. Now, is it a grand slam yet? No, because you didn't pull it off. But is it teshuvah? Did I change the X to a check? 100%. Okay. And a person's supposed to be doing that all day long, every single day. Now, if a person is doing it with emotion and self-criticism, they'll never do it. Why do most people say I am who I am? Because everything is emotional. Everything is about judging themselves and putting and hurting themselves and criticizing themselves. That's not Jewish. Jewish means I made a mistake. Yeah, I did. By the way, I love God. I love me. I don't want to be here. I want to fix it. So I fix it. Okay, next. We had an argument about this, Rochelle, many years ago. I don't know if you remember.
She looks like she remembers.
Yeah. Okay, so Yashad means, right? Yeah, you with me? Yashad. Pulled off, goes back. Pulled off, goes back. Good. Okay. So let's look at this Mishnah. This Mishnah is brought by Rabbi Yehuda, who was the head of the Sanhedrin. We call him Rabbi. he was, as we know, extraordinarily wealthy. He was the one who organized the Mishnayot. He basically was the leader in really saving Torah Shebaal Peh, the oral law. The stories, many stories are written about him using his wealth to build Torah in an extraordinary way until his last day on earth. He says, Ezehu derech yeshara sheyavor lo ha'adam kol shehi tiferet le'osa. He says, what is the straight way to go? Right? Something that other people will take pride in. Something that other people will be inspired by. He doesn't say, what's the path of the straight person to never get pulled off direction? He said, what is the path? What is the derech yashad? What is the straight path? And he uses the words very emphatically and clearly. He's not using words that he's covering up other words. He's using the word yashad, straight up. He's saying, who is the yashad person? The person who's looked at as a sincere person. The person who's looked at with good midot, as a caring person, as a person we call it in these days, who l'shem shamayim. If a person is building his or her life for the sake of heaven, I don't have to agree with everything that they say. I don't have to. If this person is l'shem shamayim, is doing things to grow and build, right? In the name of the heaven, in the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm doing the same thing, even if we have different approaches to get there, it's okay, because it's sincere all the way around. So the B says something very, very important. He says, there ain't no perfect people. Nobody is going like this. If you're going like this, it means you're doing nothing. And if you're growing, then you have to be pulled off track. You have to be stumbling. You have to be making mistakes. Because last week, I didn't know about this mitzvah. I didn't know about the complications it would give. I didn't immerse in it as deeply as I did now, because as we said in the very beginning, now I learned about it. Now I'm more immersed in it. And now it's harder for me. By design, I'm raising the bar on my relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm doing this with more kavanah, more sincerity, to take more out of it. I'm raising the bar on my relationships with people, right? I'm being more sensitive. I'm being more happy. I'm greeting people in a more happy way, right? That's a huge thing. Good. So.
Why is it saying that others have?
Yeah.
Others?
That's right.
Why the others? That's why.
Oh, so you tell me.
I mean, a lot of people that didn't see it as not so good, that's no good then.
Right. So Rochelle's asking a great question. Say, why is this contingent on others? Why is the derech of the Ashad contingent on others? Why?
To be inspiring.
Huh? To be inspiring. Yeah. Yeah. So what is he talking? First of all, he's not mentioning anything about perfection here. He's not mentioning anything about not being pulled off track. Nobody does, right? In terms of this thing. Everybody's clear on that. So here we go. You have a person who now has a double positive in his and her life. What is it? A, they're honest, a triple. They're honest. They know what they want. They know where that straight line is. Good. B, they know when they're off the line and they're willing to work hard to get back there, right? I want to work on my tefillah. Shalom raised the point. I want to work on this kashrut. I want to work on it. I care. I'm in it. And now, according to the B, you have another thing. That when you do it in a beautiful way. You do it in a way that inspires people.
I'm not going to give a name, but just think of a person who wants to do what you're saying and wants to be connected and disconnects from the other people.
Right.
There are people that do that.
Right.
They go to the there and they're studying and they're doing and they hardly eat and other people see it very bad. They say, hey, wait a minute, this guy, he thinks he's better than everybody else. He's up almost.
Right.
But there he is, left his family.
And so that's not what we're talking about. Great.
In general, why, maybe he's happy, that's his.
Right. So Rochelle is saying, why should this have to do anything to do with anybody? Why should it have anything to do with anybody else? Right? So tell me why.
I'm saying everybody has their own thing.
Everybody has their own thing. So why should it have anything to do? Why should my actions at correcting my actions have anything to do with what anybody else thinks of them?
And
They're
have to
supposed
be
to
good
care
to
about
edit, they have to like. They have to
Yeah,
be
They have to be
responsible.
inspired by it. Yeah, why?
Aren't we responsible for each
Yeah,
other?
well, so we have this extraordinary level of Avot, as you know, right? Absolute interconnectedness and responsibility. We have an extraordinary commitment to that, right? You know, we have a commitment. You know, if you walked away from, I'm gonna trivialize it for a minute, so I apologize. But
I'm
if
gonna give you a good example.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
to interrupt.
Yeah.
Moshe, he's doing his thing, and his sister sees it terrible, for an example.
Okay.
Many people do good things, and someone's gonna talk bad about it
Excellent.
behind your back.
So Rochelle is saying people do good things and other people don't understand. It's true. So how do we have to deal with that? The halachic obligation is fairly clear on that, and that is where I can help the person understand, I have an obligation to do so. So if my effort can get another little tag on it, another little tack added to it, so I can help the person understand my action, even though I could have done it without that person understanding my action, but I can make it a little bit more of an effort to do so, I have to do so. I have to do so. Why?
That creates animosity, Ricky. That's not so easy to accept. People do not accept that.
How would it do that? How would it create animosity?
Because let's say you ask forgiveness on the high holiday, but you're gonna say, of course I forgive you. It's not for me to forgive you, but you really know there is something that can be fixed. What you're not gonna say to someone, this is one issue, there's one slight thing that I can tell you that could improve you, because it's not your place to do that.
I'm not talking about the other person. I'm only talking about me now. Yeah.
That the other side, the other extreme of what you're saying is, then people are doing things always for the sake of others.
No,
Always-
very
You
good.
know what I mean?
Very good. Okay, very good. No, but I need to be acutely aware of the sake of others. And this is the point. And you're right.
Okay, so then you don't say.
I need to be,
No,
we're
sir.
doing it for ourselves first. Yes, 100%, 100%. Good, granted. I.e., if I can't get the other guy on board, I still do it. I still do it because it's for me. But what is the B saying is yosher. Yosher means when I'm fighting my way back, I think about my surrounding. I think about how I can impact other people, how they might be inspired by it. Now, there's certain cases where nobody's going to be inspired by it. And there are certain cases when I can inspire people. The point is, I can be a little bit of an open book. I'm not doing this to beat down on other people and try to tell people that I know better than them. But it's not a bad thing, and we talked about vulnerability in one of the previous classes. It's not a bad thing to be a little bit vulnerable and to tell a person, you know what? I'm really striving in this area. I really want to grow in this area. Why? Because now you're going to inspire another person. You're going to be tiferet. They're going to be warmed by it. They're going to be enlightened by it. Does that work or no?
Can you
Okay.
give an example, Ricky?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. I think it's very important for spouses to do this between each other, to share their areas of failure, of stumbling. You know, this notion, this Western notion that we don't bring the office home. That's not Jewish. That's not a Torah notion, and a lot of people have taken it on, and it's wrong. Because if a man is working, a husband is working, a wife is working, whatever it might be, what goes on in the office has a huge impact on the person's life. And we know that women have a greater sense of understanding and awareness than men do. So why would you not bring it home? Why would you not share it? What's the point?
To me,
What?
that's the easiest, though. Husband and wife is the easiest.
Okay, we'll give you another one. We'll give you another one. Good.
Good.
Children, parents and children, right? Parents and children, right? Are we comfortable? And we have to know the child, and we have to know right. We have to think about it very carefully, because we can't trap the child to stumble in kibud av, right? We can't tell a child something that will cause the child to respect us less. We're not to do that. That's like a lifnei ivir, where I cause the child to stumble to respect me less. I can't do that. But there are certain children at certain times where a parent should share their struggling, Should. Because I know, and I'm sure we've all done this, we know it's going to make my child better. You know what? I struggled with this today. I struggled with it 10 years ago. That's right. I'm not perfect. Daddy is not perfect. I want to grow. I want to build. This is where I was in this respect. This is where I am now, right? So, Rochelle, how does that work for you? Does that have value?
Those things I'm okay with. My problem is community. I don't want to care so much about what others think or don't think. I want to do what's correct. And sometimes they think that it's not correct. I'm so sorry for
That's
you.
right.
That's what.
That's true.
The
Why
community.
that's also true. It's also true. And that's why we have a thing with Marit Ayin. Let's qualify. So, okay, we have a thing with Marit Ayin. When is a person transgress the law of Marit Ayin? Only when the other person knows the halacha but still thinks he's doing something wrong. If the other person doesn't know the halacha, I don't have to worry about that. Meaning that my responsibility to others is qualified. I don't have to chase down everybody who may have a misimpression about what I'm doing, because people need to know me and need to know who I am. Okay, so I don't have to chase down every naysayer, but I do have to be aware of my surroundings. I have to be sensitive to what people are looking at. Yes, I do. We're not American. In the Americans, I do what I do. I am what I am. That's not who we are, right? We're not that way. We have to be careful and we have to be sensitive to what other people think about us and so on. Now, can we button down every hatch? Can we straighten out everybody who may have a misimpression? Definitely not. Can we be aware to the extent that we cover as many as we can? Do we have an obligation to do so? Yes.
You were saying somewhere that says, how do you know if Hashem loves you? When the people.
That's right.
People
That's right.
Hashem loves you.
That's right. That's exactly what we're saying. Rochelle is saying, how do you know what's one of the indicators that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves you? When people love you. Now, are you going to make everybody happy? Then you're not going to be a person anymore.
Right.
You're going to lose yourself. And that's not what we're talking about. But we're talking about the opposite. People will love a person who's true to himself. They love that person. The point is, do it with adinut, do it with sensitivity, do it with sweetness, do it with caring, do it with sharing. That's what we're talking about. Is it?
Sort of like the story of Noah, but here he was doing a mitzvah and the whole community thought he was ridiculous, but he didn't bring them in.
Right. So Noah wasn't able to do it, right? He wasn't able to do it. Right. Okay. Let's go another few minutes. Rabbi continues. Are you okay, Rochelle? You more comfortable? Okay. Good. Okay. Haveh zahir ben mitzvah kalab kibachamura she'en ata yodea matan secharan, shel mitzvot. Here's a huge point. We'll take another 5-6 minutes and we'll wrap up with this. Rabbi says the following. He says, be just as careful with what's looked upon as a very hamur, a very stringent and important mitzvah, and what you may consider a lesser mitzvah. Why? Because and this is the incredible brilliance of the rabbi, every single mitzvah is absolutely subjective in its reward or otherwise. Every single mitzvah. We're gonna good, very good. Okay, step by step.
Don't do the mitzvot for the sachar.
Yes, we do.
But it says somewhere else, do not.
We don't do it for the almanat lekabel piras. We learned that together, right? But do I do a mitzvah in order to get the reward? 1,000,000%.
So what's the difference between pras?
Pras is some arbitrary something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu might throw me. But do I do it to get sachar, to get reward for it? 1,000,000%. Do I do it to get the beracha that may come with it? 1,000,000%, not 100%. 1,000,000%. So, but the trick is that we can't possibly know what the value is of a certain mitzvah. You know why? Because the value might be X for you, Rochelle, when you do it today, because of where you are in your life and today's circumstances. And if you do the same mitzvah tomorrow, the reward could be completely different. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's exactly it. There is nothing more subjective than the reward for a mitzvah. And what is it subject to? Each person, right? If Michelle does something and Sharon does something, they do the same mitzvah, they could get an altogether different sachar, altogether different reward. What are you talking about? Dear friends, the same mitzvah, same day, same hour. I did
How
have
do you know that, Ricky? How do you know that?
how do I know it? I don't know.
Find it for me in the Mishnah.
Was that?
That's a big assumption. I don't know how you know that. Maybe you're from Hashem. I don't know.
We're gonna go another 4 minutes. Work it, yeah.
Ricky?
Holocaust, making a Hanukkah and potatoes,
Jane, 1 second, yeah.
and us putting a candle.
Excellent, excellent. Same mitzvah. Good. Jane, what were you gonna say?
Do we believe that a mitzvah that's much harder for us will yield us a greater sakad?
1,000,000%. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of it.
Every time we do a mitzvah on a different level, we change, we
Right.
grow.
Beauty.
So if we're a stubborn person and we're doing a mitzvah, we're growing more.
Good.
as a
Okay.
stubborn person.
Excellent. Excellent. Beautiful. So there's no absolute value. There's no absolute value, and therefore we need to know that and understand it, right? To value where we are when we do something, to appreciate what it took to do it, but even more importantly, to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so in it and so looking at how we grew from that mitzvah, right? Remember where we started, right? We do the mitzvot to grow. And therefore, the greater the level of intent and understanding of mitzvah, the greater we're going to grow. And therefore, we do the mitzvah, we learn about it. We do the mitzvah, we learn about it. We do it right, more and more and more. We learn more about the mitzvah so we can do it on a better level. The more we invest in it, the more we're going to take out of it. Obvious, true, right? Like your example with the Shoah. The more we invest, the more we take out. But there's a much more subtle rub, and that is that the whatever my life circumstances are at the moment defines my level of reward for that action. And by the way, the same thing happens in the opposite. If somebody stumbles in something, right? If they stumbled into it and the circumstances are X, they don't get the same level of negatives as otherwise. It's all subjective. It's subjective to the millionth degree. And that is the most remarkable, one of the most remarkable things, in my opinion, in Judaism altogether. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, look, the reward for this mitzvah is X, the reward for that. Good, next. So now, one last point on this. You should be challenging me with two major mitzvot, which are the Shiluach Ken Sipur, right? Sending away the mother bird, and Kibud Avim. Why should you be challenging me with that? Why? Because the reward is articulated, long life. Long life. One second, you just told me that for the Uven, the reward is going to be different than Shimon. And if Shimon does it on Tuesday and does it again on Thursday, the reward may be different for what he did on Tuesday and on Thursday, right? So what are you talking about when you tell me that there's an absolute reward for sending away the mother bird and respecting a parent? Come on, Sarah.
Can't imagine.
Come on, work it. 1 more minute.
I could think of a very difficult mitzvah,
Huh?
a different one.
Good. We did it.
The
Yeah.
mitzvah of not hurting the next person, and even though it's doing damage to yourself. Sometimes you see something you will not want to hurt the next person, so you're not that honest, and you take the brunt of it.
Okay, good. Fine.
That's
Good.
a big mitzvah because it's hurtful to yourself.
Very good. Excellent. So let's finish it along these lines, right? But what our rabbis say on this is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu articulates long life, there's one of two things here. Either it's in Olam Haba, or if the person lives a long life, right? Everybody should have that. And when we say that every mitzvah is subjective and relative to the person, we talk about the quality of life. So even though Bagadol, in general terms, Kibud Av will give someone a long life, and everybody should be zochet to that, the quality of the person's life is a function of who the person is and the level of difficulty for the person at the time. So the element of every mitzvah's reward being absolutely subjective still holds.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
When we were talking about.
You just came. I'm here all day for you.
That sounds right.
This is 10 years we're catching up on, Michelle. I'm not going anywhere.
That sounds right, what you just said.
Like the mitzvot shebechtav
Yeah,
are more important than the mitzvot shebe'al peh. It drives me nuts with my son all the time.
we don't hold that way anymore. We don't hold that way anymore. We hold that the mitzvot of the rabbis, we hold that the mitzvot of the rabbis are no less important than the mitzvot deoraita.
No, but if you have to go over, let's
That's
say.
right. If you had to
Shabbat,
yes,
so
yes,
for the eighth day of a
Yes,
holiday.
yes.
Seventh day of a holiday, because I had this problem. He told me, Mom, get in the car on the eighth day because it was much less.
Yes,
wrapping than
that's
seventh.
correct.
It's the same thing.
That's correct. If you're in a point where something has to get done, I'll give you an example in a minute. Barbara, thank you. Good to see you. If you're at a point where something has to give, then we will give on a rabbinic law sooner than a biblical law. And this,
It is stronger than.
a million percent. If you're at a point, no, it is and it isn't. So Rochelle's asking the point. Well, what is it? Is oraita, right, biblically ordained mitzvot, are those more important than the Rabbanan? Today, in our practical day-to-day lives, we don't look at them any differently. We look at them exactly the same, and we keep them with the same rigor and commitment and so on. But to your point, if a person is in a position where something has to be compromised, where something has to move, then we will do everything in our power not to violate a biblical mitzvah. We will violate a rabbinic mitzvah. Okay, so what's a classic example? Let's take a classic example. Classic example is, let's say you have the 18 minutes of Shabbat, the 18 extra minutes, right? You have the 18 extra minutes. Somebody brings in Shabbat, right? But something has to get done. Something has to get done, that if it's not done, it's going to take away from the person's pleasure of Shabbat, or it's going to create a problem, right? So you're in the 18 minutes. So you can't do anything because it's already Shabbat for you. It's already Shabbat, right? On Shabbat, you can't tell a goy to do something either, right? You can't tell a goy to do something that you can't do. But because we're in the 18 minutes, which is an add-on, which is a drabanan, A, B, and there's something that if it doesn't get done, it's going to take away from my Shabbat or cause a problem, doesn't have to be a catastrophic problem, because it's a drabanan, rabbinic to begin with, the extra time, and because it's going to cause me some choser of enjoyment on Shabbat, some lessening of enjoyment, I can have the goy do it during that time period. Whereas 19 minutes from now, I can't, because it's Shabbat itself. So yes, there are many cases where when we have conflicting issues, where we have to deal with something, we're going to find a way to transgress something rabbinic and not something biblical if there's a great need to do so.
Wise, they're the same.
Today, they're the same. Yeah. In terms of reward, today, they're the same. But you have to go both. You have to look at both. You have to look at the fact that they're different in certain cases. When we're pushed up against the wall, so to speak, they're different, right? When something has to happen, when I have to figure something out, then I'm going to always look to move on the rabbinic, not the biblical. I'm going to look to move on the rabbinic, not the biblical.
People should know this, Ricky, because I know a lot of
yeah,
people, let's
absolutely.
say on the holiday, that important as Shabbat. Shabbat
Right.
is double kadosh, and Yom
Yeah.
Tov.
So yeah, you're right. So we need to talk about it.
Somebody put that straight in.
Yeah,
people's
and
minds.
you know what it is? To your point, Rochelle is saying that people need to know that they need to know both sides. They need to know, generally speaking, most of the time, they're on the same level. And we treat them the same, and we don't look for distinctions, right? And they also need to know in a time of a push, They're absolutely different. So to your point, that's exactly the point. Now, if we go with the model where we started, where we're doing the mitzvah, we're learning about it, we're learning about it, right? As we go on in life, God willing, we're going to learn what's biblical, what's rabbinic. When can I move around this thing? If I'm stuck, when can I move and how can I move? And those are very important.
But to Michelle's point, people are always at different levels.
Right.
It's very difficult to tell someone what they're doing right or wrong.
Yeah, no, we're not saying to tell anybody. We're saying that if somebody has a question,
Ourselves, we
Yeah.
know.
we're saying if somebody has a question, right? The 18 minutes is a classic question.
Everybody
Classic.
knows it, you
What do
know?
we do? What don't we do? How do we do? We should definitely learn it together. But you have to be in person for that. We should definitely learn it together. But this is very, very important that we understand that generally speaking, when there's no push, when there's no when there's no difficult whatever, we look at them the same. But when there is, they're 100% different. And the point is, to your point, to know when to pull the trigger one way or the other. And what we hold in Judaism is the more you know, everybody should know as much as possible and be able to draw these distinctions. Great. All right. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you.
I'm gonna-